You're so close, you are at the finish line. Imagine you having run a marathon. You're not going to give up when you've got 1 kilometre to go, which is pretty much sort of where you're at. So I would say just keep going. It's going to be worth it. You don't want to give up right at the end and kind of make the last 13 years of schooling, you know, you're at that climatic spot. So keep going, keep pushing through. It'll be worth it. Do yourself proud, do your family proud, do your school proud.
All right, so excited for this video today. I've got my sister joining me with the video. Welcome, Grace. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You're a top dog. First, I just want to say, this is Grace. She's 23, and she's my absolute biggest role model. Absolutely love her. When it comes to leadership, hard work, whatever it is, whatever she puts her mind to, she just gets out there and does it like a boss. So you're a legend. Thank you for taking the time to be with me and talk about something that's I'm really excited about, because we're coming to that part of the year where particularly in Australia, we've got those year 12 students, year 11 students, they're about to hit that HSC, which is, you know, if you've done it, that's a terrifying time. If you're about to do it, you know how terrified you feel right now. And if you're 5 years from doing it, you already know what's to come, and it's a pretty scary time. So we wanted to talk about the HSC, and if you're in another part of the world, whatever that final exam for high school is for you, you know what it's like. So we just want to tackle some of those challenges that people face. But anyway, should be a good video. All right. So Grace, when did you finish school?
I finished school in 2013, so it's my 6th year out of school.
Wow.
Yep, it's going fast.
Going very fast. And I guess the first question I want to ask is, once you finish school, you're 6 years down the track, you're 6 years out of school, you were probably terrified when it came to HSC. But when you look back at those times, was it worth all the worry?
I think I worried a little bit too much. I think to some extent a little bit of worry isn't a bad thing, because I think for me personally, it helped make sure that I did what I actually had to do, what was required of me, but I definitely didn't need to worry as much as I did looking back on it. I mean, someone actually asked me recently what my ATAR was, which is the final mark that you get at the end of HSC. I don't know if it's still called the ATAR, and I literally couldn't remember what it was. I actually had to ring my mum and find out. So I think, yeah, having been through it and being on the other side now for 6 years, I think it's all in perspective now. I think perspective's a really important thing, and it's really hard when you're in the moment, but yeah, I think I didn't need to worry as much as I did.
No, fair enough. Well, actually, I've got a memory of your ATAR mark meaning only being valuable to you for like a few hours or something. Can you share that story? I'm not quite sure what the details were. But you got your ATAR mark, and only like a few hours later, you didn't need it anymore. Yeah,
I got my ATAR mark, and then I think like the next day I got an offer into uni for the degree that I'd applied for. So once I was in, it didn't really matter anymore. But yeah.
Fair enough. Now, going back a few years before HSC, because it's about year 10 where you really start to focus on it, and you did your part of your HSC in year 11, so that's another challenge in itself. But what would you say what was on your mind, I guess, leading up to those, some of those challenges you're feeling?
I think it felt like at the time that what I did now was going to determine the rest of my life. Like, I felt this pressure. If I don't perform now, the rest of my life, like, I'm just going to be a screw up, I'm not going to do anything with my life, and it's going to be embarrassing. And yeah, I just put all this pressure on myself, and I think a lot of people do that. And I think in a way, school, I think that they often make you feel that way as well. Like, if you don't do well, you're not going to get into the degree that you want, and therefore you're just going to you're going to sweep streets for the rest of your life or something. That's going to be your job. But it's just so not the case at all. I think, you want to work hard, you want to get the marks and do the best that you can, because I think, one, you want to honour your parents who have committed a lot to getting you through school. You want to honour your teachers and all the people that have invested in you, and you want to honour the fact that you've just spent the last 13 years doing this whole schooling thing. Like, make it worth something and give yourself more options. That's really all it is. It's just opening up options for you after school. And if you don't get awesome marks or the marks that you're hoping for, again, it still doesn't really matter, because what I've learned is that there is always a way to get into what it is that you want to do. Just the route getting to it might look a little bit different. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now you've opened the door to a few real big challenges that I think every student faces at some point. It's very rare for a child or a student to go through their whole life and go, I just want to be an astronaut, and know what they want to do from day one. I think most people get to that point where they realize, wow, I'm about to finish school. I actually need to know where I'm going next, because you got to get on that right path. So you've asked that question of, what do you do if you don't know what you want to do?
I think that would be so hard. I was really lucky in that throughout all my schooling, I thought I wanted to do medicine, which is not what I'm actually doing now. But that's what I always thought. So for me, I had that goal of something that I was working towards. But I think if you don't know what you want to do, I think one, just work really hard. Work in the things that you're passionate about and that you enjoy. And even if you don't enjoy the subjects, personally, hated English, had to do it though. So I just thought, okay, make the most of this opportunity, do the best I can, get the best marks I possibly can, so then that way when I finish school, I have all the options available to me that are possible. And I think for someone who really doesn't know at all what they want to do, just apply for degrees that sound like something that you're interested in and give it a go. And if you don't like what you're doing, you can always change. I think everybody kind of puts this pressure on you when you're in year 12 and you're having to pick your preferences for what unis you want to study at and what degrees you want to do. But in reality, so many people change their degrees. Like, I don't know of many people who actually went into the degree and graduated that degree that they started straight out of high school. So many of my friends have done even 2, 3, some have even done 4 different degrees until they found what it was that they actually wanted to do. And at the beginning of when you're first starting out, it's like, oh, I'm wasting a whole year of my life. But as somebody who changed degrees after a year and then took an extra year to finish a 3-year degree, I did it in 4 years. So I spent 5 years at uni. It's really not that big a deal. It doesn't take that much time, and there's no shame in changing what you do. It's such a common thing. So many people do it. So many people have these ideals of what they think they want to do. Then they study the degree and they're like, oh, hold up, super not interested in doing that at all. I've been talking to somebody else who's studying this and that sounds really cool, so I want to transfer into that. It's such a commonly done thing. And I think, it just helps take the pressure off. Give something a go, see if it is what you like, what you thought it would be. Try and talk to people who are really in that profession, get some real world experience, and so that way you're basing your decisions off actual real life reality rather than these little fantasies. But yeah, just give stuff a go and take the pressure off yourself. You don't have to figure it out straight up when you're 17 or 18, because if you think about it, you've got like 50 years of working ahead of you. You've got time, if it takes you a couple years to get in to what it is that you want to do or figure out what it is, it really doesn't matter. In the long scheme of things, it's not a big deal.
For sure. And I think it's easy to get a fear of swapping your course, so locking yourself into a course because you've paid the money, you've invested the time. But when you're 18 to 21, you're at the absolute start of your whole life. There's so much ahead, and a couple $1,000s wasted. It's not really wasted. You've still learned from the experience. You've discovered what you're not passionate about. So just be confident and I guess confident in yourself to go, this isn't what I want to do. I think I want to explore this area, explore that area, and be happy with the sacrifice that you've had to make, because you want to be happy for the next 60 years or whatever that you spend in the workforce, rather than dreading it just because you couldn't cop the $1,000 at the start of your career to make the changeover. So I guess I want to talk about next so you've talked a lot about uni and picking the degree that you want to do, but I think it's important to talk about the people who don't want to go to uni, because that's a huge majority, a huge group of people too, and completely okay. Even when you want to go into an industry that usually requires some sort of degree, say marketing or accounting, but you can still actually get into industries like that without a degree. So if you're talking about internships, what could people be looking for to experiment in that way?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think uni's not for everybody, which is, it's totally fine. I know a lot of people who have gone into doing, different trades and stuff, and they absolutely love it. It's a very different route. Look, it's not something that I have done, so I don't really feel like I'm the expert in being able to explain what it is, but I think there's no shame in not going to uni, at all. There are still so many people that I know that are so hardworking and real experts at carpentry or plumbing or being electricians, or different courses that they've done at TAFE in graphic design and things like that, and they've absolutely loved it, and that's been absolutely perfect for them. So I think it's probably, if that's something that you think you want to do, I think doing work experience with people is probably a really good way to test it out and see if it's actually what you think you want to do. And if you're sort of on the edge and you're not really sure whether you want to go to uni or not go to uni, I would say still apply for uni, so at least that option is there if you want it. And then if you decide you found something that feels like it suits you a lot better, then awesome. I think that's great. But I think, yeah, talking to people who have walked down that route before, people who are in that particular industry that you think you want to go into, is probably the best way to get started. Just talk to people that you know. If you want to do graphic design and you don't know a graphic designer, I'm sure you could find somebody that you know that knows a graphic designer. We're a very connected world. It's not hard to get in touch, or get in touch with a graphic designer through social media that you think's really cool, and see if you can go and shadow them, or even just have a coffee catch up with them and find out a little bit about how they got to where they are now, and what they would recommend you do if that's where you want to end up.
Fantastic. That's really valuable. Now, heading back into, you're still at school, you're about to do your HSC, you're around 100 people who are all in the same boat, all struggling, all stressing. How do you, stay positive and break through, the noise that's happening around you of, I'm terrified, I hate school, I hate uni, hate HSC, this sucks. How do you break out of that and get yourself into a positive mindset that's going to give you the best chance for success?
I think you really you need to, in and of yourself, decide that you're not going to be negative about stuff. I think it really has an impact. The things that you're speaking and the things that you're hearing the people around you speak does change and have an impact on how you're actually thinking and feeling about it all. And so, I totally get it. HSC is really stressful. It feels like this huge deal. But if you're just looking at it as, cool, I am so close, I am about to finish, and I have these massive exams. Yes, they're massive, but at the end of the day, it's just an opportunity for me to show myself, my teachers, my parents, what it is that I've learned and all that I can do, and try and use it as just change your thinking about it. It's such an exciting time, really. It's the beginning of the rest of your life. It's awesome. It should be exciting. You're graduating school. It's nerve-wracking. You're stepping out into adulthood. You're going to get this new independence that you've never had before. I think it should be a really exciting time. Yes, there are stresses that come with it, but keep it all in perspective. Don't surround yourself with people that are wanting to be negative and complain and whinge. I would even say, don't surround yourself with people who aren't like-minded as you, which can be really hard, because at school you're kind of forced to hang out with the other 100 people whose parents happen to decide to enroll them in that school. But just look for people that are like-minded people. If you're someone who's really wanting to work hard and get the best out of your education as you can, hang around those people, because they will encourage you, they'll support you, they'll challenge you, and they'll help you go down the direction that you want to end up in.
Fantastic. I think when you're in school, you've got your friends that you've been friends with for the last 10 years or longer or less, whatever, but they're your close mates, and sometimes they're not the right people to have around, and that can be a real challenge. And I think a lot of people face that. You want to stay with your friends because they're your friends, but they're actually dragging you down. This isn't a personal experience, but I know I've talked to a bunch of people who've said, I just really wanted to do well, but the people around me were, they were slackers, they didn't like to put the effort in, and it kind of just, it wore off on them as well, and they weren't performing, they weren't trying, they started to give up, and they started to hate the experience. So I don't want to say ditch your friends, leave them behind, and go make a new bunch of friends, because your friends are so valuable, and you need to have those people who you can rely on, because even though they might not be hard workers at school, they could be the ones that when you're having a tough time, you can go and talk to them and say, I'm really struggling with this, and they'll back you up 100%. But you do want to find those people who are striving to be better, striving to learn, to challenge themselves. And if you can find those groups of people, and there's always those groups of people at school, you just got to find them, reach out to them, and hang around them when it comes to the study time, so that when you're there, there's no people on their phones or mucking around. It's just focus, and you can ask questions and collaborate, and they'll really stimulate that learning experience. So with you, were you someone to like to study in groups or study alone? And what would you suggest is the most valuable way to learn prior to HSC?
I think everyone's different in how they like to learn. For me personally, my best friend, who's still my best friend, she was this like crazy genius. And so I really loved studying with her because she's so hardworking, and we really encourage each other, particularly with maths. We both actually enjoyed maths, but didn't come naturally to us, and so we really had to spend a lot of time working together. And I think doing it together just encouraged us, helped us to push through when we were feeling a little bit like, oh, this is above us and beyond us. So I found that really valuable, but I think on the whole, I probably like to study by myself. Personally, I just think that I focus better that way. I think it really depends on who you are. I know a lot of my friends would split up different chapters amongst each other, and one person would write a summary on this chapter, another would do it on another chapter, and that worked really well for them, and they knew that they trusted the other people to do a really good job in...
Sorry, to add on to that, that's a great suggestion, to have multiple people doing different sections. It might seem like, oh, now there's gaps in your knowledge, but what you do is then you come together, you collaborate, and you actually teach the other person what you've learnt. And there might be some gaps, so it's good to just still read over what that person's studied. But when you're teaching other people, it's pretty much the best way to learn is by teaching. And so it shows that you understand, and then they try and teach it back to you. And anyway, just wanted to add that that's a great way to learn.
It's very true, and I used to write all my study notes out, and then I would walk around in my room teaching my study notes.
Oh, we know.
Yes, my family know. My family could probably have sat the HSC because they heard me all year teaching my notes to nobody. Like I would just sort of pretend to be teaching them, because for me, that just really helped me consolidate it in my mind.
Yeah. I would even open the kitchen cupboard and see a little note just like sitting somewhere inside the kitchen.
Yep, I used to leave notes for myself all the time. So I would like put a post-it note up of, I don't know, some kind of maths theory or something or other. And then when I'd see it, I go, okay, now I have to go through and explain what it is that means, and I try and do it without being able to look at my notes. And that just, for me, really helped me consolidate it in my mind. I really learned through speaking things out and hearing it. But you need to know whatever works for you. Hopefully by now you do know what study methods work for you. If you're going to work in a group though, I will say, make sure that you're actually productive together. A lot of groups get together with awesome intentions to be really productive and study well, and then actually end up getting nothing done. So if that's what it's going to be like, then I'd say it's not really worth it. You're better off studying by yourself. But like with me and my best friend, we worked really well together, and so that was a really productive environment to be able to study in. So I think just be wise with how you use your time.
I think to add on to that, there's probably 3 things you want to remember. That's expectations, goals, and the third one would be accountability when you're working in groups. So set the expectation from the start that we don't use our phone, for example. We don't talk about other things. We just keep focused on what we're doing, and we set the goals of we're going to do 3 hours straight, or we're going to do 2-hour blocks, 2 hours, hour off, 2 hours on. And then the final one is accountability, is just telling the other person, hey, if you see me getting distracted, I'm completely happy for you to put me back in line, because I want you to do that. And usually they'll say, yep, please do the same to me. And you just keep reminding each other that this is what we're doing it to help each other, not to be a boss or to get in each other's faces. It's purely because you both want to succeed and you want to help each other, you care for one another, and so just do those 3 things. I think that'll really help. So I get the next question I really wanted to ask is, so when you got into HSC mode, you were an absolute boss. Like you just powered on, you didn't stop, and not because you're just a crazy, ridiculous person, but because you did the right things and you balanced so well. And I think balance is a huge challenge when it comes to a time like this. Either you go 100% on task and then you burn out, or you go 100% not on task and you get nothing done. So what are your techniques and your strategies that you still even use today to help you get through those tough times where you really got to focus?
I think with HSC, I think once you get to this particular point where, you know, you're almost at the end of your time at school and then you've got that like month of just pure study before your exams start, I think you start to get a bit tired and a bit over it, and I know that I did. And so I guess I would just encourage you, if that's how you're feeling, just keep it in perspective. Remember that the last 13 years of your life you've spent at school. So when you think about it, 13 years, you've only got like a month or two left. It's really not long. I know it feels long, but in the scheme of your schooling education, it's not. You're so close, you are at the finish line. Imagine you having run a marathon. You're not gonna give up when you've got 1 kilometre to go, which is pretty much sort of where you're at. So I would say just keep going. It's gonna be worth it. You don't wanna give up right at the end and kind of make the last 13 years of schooling, you know, you're at that climatic spot. So keep going, keep pushing through. It'll be worth it. Do yourself proud, do your family proud, do your school proud. I think as well, just find balance. You know, if you are getting up at 6 a.m. and studying till midnight non-stop all day, that's great, but I'd say for most people, they're probably gonna get to sitting their exams and be so exhausted that they're not even gonna be able to perform. So, you know, write out a timetable, so that you can visualize when you're going to do things that keeps you accountable, keeps you on track, but scheduling things that you love. If you love playing tennis, which is for me what I love doing, go out and play tennis still. You know, Friday nights, give yourself Friday nights off. You know, Friday nights I go catch up with my friends, I go watch movies, whatever, if I've been productive all week. Exercise, keep exercising regularly. Fight the temptation to sit there studying all day with a bag of M&Ms and a bag of chips. It won't make you feel good.
Yep.
You need to be feeling good, you need to be alert, so be eating well, be drinking well, and make sure that you're sleeping. You know, I think I remember finding it really hard to sleep because I had all this adrenaline and nerves, but whatever strategies work for you to help you sleep, it's going to be so important just to keep your mind fresh, and to be able to perform to the ability that you need to be able to perform at this little stage. But you're so close, guys, just keep going. It's gonna be worth it, and before you know it, it will be over and you'll have finished. And then you get this awesome like 4-month break before uni starts or whatever it is that you're doing the year after. Like, it's awesome. So I remember thinking, oh, the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm so close, 4 months off, it's gonna be good. So push through.
Awesome. Well, Grace, that's been fantastic. There's some huge takeaways from this discussion. I really hope people have picked up on it. It's just time management, balance, exercise, surrounding yourself with the right people, holding yourself accountable, finding someone to hold you accountable. Yeah, just giving it your best, because it's okay, no matter what the outcome, you can always recover from it. If you feel like you've been slacking off the last, few years and you feel like you've wasted your time and now you're regretting it, that's all right. You've got the next month to just put your head down and give it your best. And if you've been working super hard and now all of a sudden you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, I just want to relax, then just remember you've only 1 month away, you've put in the hard yards, just continue on and do your best. So Grace, thank you very much. You're an absolute legend. I love talking with you, you're so inspiring. Thank you. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. We'll have to do another one just to, at some point with you, because you got some absolute nuggets when it comes to leadership and all this cool stuff. So thank you very much.
Bye guys, good luck.
Yes, good luck. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad I was able to reach you with this video, and I really hope you found it valuable. I'd love for you to take a moment to think of just one person who might benefit from this message. Please share it with them, or even share it with your entire social media network. Let them know what this video is about and how it can impact their lives. Remember, we're trying to build a community of strong, like-minded people who are determined to live a life less ordinary. Now, thank you again so much for your support. I'm truly grateful. Don't forget to add to the conversation, share your ideas, share your thoughts, and please tag me in those posts. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can keep building this awesome community. Remember, rise up, take courage, and let's do it. I'm Nate Phillips, signing out.